All right, welcome, folks. Ultimate Watch Party. It's another week. We got some special guests with us, so thank you for joining us. If it's your first time, special welcome to you. I'm Theo Wan, the host, and the Academy Ultimate and One and Only Sports have been putting these Ultimate Watch Parties on for a few weeks now. We're into week 13, which we can't believe. I just want to give a shout out to Tuck, the Toronto Ultimate Club, and Vancouver Ultimate League for helping promote the stream as well. So we do appreciate it. And if you like what you see on the streams, we would love for you to throw a sub at us here on Twitch. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you actually get a free Twitch subscription per month. So if you feel so inclined, we would love for you to subscribe to us. You can also see my podcast and other broadcasting content on my Instagram at One and Only Sports. But we're here with the two guests here, Canadian Ultimate Legends. I was telling them off air, they were Canadian Ultimate Legends. They're laughing at me. But Canadian Ultimate Legends here, Adrian Yearwood, a GOAT, Kevin Underhill, Furious George. How you guys doing today?
What's up? Doing real well.
Hey Theo, thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're pretty stoked right now to have you guys on. So can you just talk and share a little bit about how you got into Ultimate and your career with the team that you've been playing for a while now? Both of you have kind of started around the same time for these teams, right? So can you maybe share about that?
Yeah, sure. So I started touring in 2007 with Grand Trunk. Shout out to Grand Trunk. And then I played with them for 1 year and I loved it. Wanted to keep going, wanted to keep getting better. So kept playing at university, started on GOAT in 2008. And then I've been playing on GOAT ever since. And sort of started as a cutter, started transitioning into being a handler as I got better at throwing. And, here I am now. An Ultimate Legend, apparently.
Hey, Reddit, that's what they were saying on Reddit, man. That's what Reddit Ultimate was saying that. So don't take it from me. Take it from Reddit, man.
For me, I started playing in 2006 in high school. Played with Lord Bing secondary in Vancouver, and then I went to UVic. So big time shout out to my UVic squad. Probably not the first time, or probably not the last time I'll shout them out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I played with my brother Blair and John Norris were kind of like the two sort of leaders at the UVic program, teammates of Adrian in 2010 at the World Under-23 Champs. So and they taught me a lot, and I think it was that summer after my first year at UVic 2009 when I tried out for Furious and made it as a teenager, and I think and then obviously I've been on the team ever since. So that's 12 years now. It sounds like a lot when you say it out loud, but that's basically the Coles notes of it. Yeah,
for sure. And if you want to ask some questions, we'd love for you to put some questions in on the chat. You obviously don't need a Twitch account to watch the game, but we would love for you to interact with the guests here as we see the first poll about to go off. Can either of you talk about the rivalry between the two teams? We're talking about it off air. You play each other once every 4 years, it looks like, at Canadian Nationals. So can one of you talk about the history behind this game? Because it's obviously a big game here. One of my favorites to watch. So who wants to take it?
Go ahead, Adrian.
Yeah, so this would be the third game that I played in that was Furious versus GOAT in the Canadian National Finals, 2011, 2015, and then here in 2019. And I find that the rivalry between GOAT and Furious is really interesting. It's like at the same time right now pretty cordial, but there's a lot of inherited animosity, I think, from years past, where there was a lot of animosity. And I don't feel that way anymore, but it sort of has like the shadow of it hanging over it, which is kind of cool. But I personally super respect Furious and a lot of the guys on Furious. I played with a lot of them on Team Canada, and I Kevin, is the guy who I know really well and I played with and I think is a cool dude. And there's a lot of guys on the team like that. So, I mean, like, I don't have hatred or anything like that, but it's so cool because it's like this inevitable clash, like coming to butt heads in the final, which is always a fun time. Yeah.
It's funny, Adrian. It's funny that you mentioned like the shadow of a past hatred, which is, it's definitely true. I know like in 2011, you and I probably got the most taste for like that sort of disdain. But even a lot of those guys would have played national team together. So
Yeah.
It's what's really interesting, I find, is like it's so different from a rivalry where you play a team like 4 or 5 times in a season or like a dozen times over 4 seasons. You know, it's like every single time we play, with the exception of like a couple games throughout our career, every single time is at like extreme heightened importance. And I think that's what it's like. It's just such a difference. It's like, for example, like out here we have Sockeye and Rhino. We play them like 3 times a season. And so you really you generate some, and I know you guys have that with Boston and DC. It's like you generate a lot of kind of like, there's guys on the other team you don't really like that much. There's guys that are fine, whatever, but you play them so much that there's that built up sort of like intensity. But with GOAT, it's like you don't see them for 4 years, and then you're put into like a must-win situation. So it's definitely unique and interesting.
For sure. Here, we saw a smooth 0 point there from GOAT. And the same thing in return here from Furious. Both of you playing on the O-lines, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think my research stands corrected there.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. I should say, I know like this would probably come up at some point, but just for interest's sake, prior to this, the day before, I like came down with the flu at this tournament. So
we knew you'd bring it up. So
yeah, well, I'm it's like you're saying like, yeah, let's get Kev on for the stream, and I'm like, well, I didn't really play that much, but it should be fine, obviously, and I'm happy to relive it when I'm feeling 100% healthy, which is nice. But no, I mean, the day before we played in the quarters, first thing in the morning, and I remember being like, man, I'm not feeling well, so I took myself out of play. I talked to Matt, our coach, who you see in the blue shirt there. And I was like, I'm just not like, feeling well. And we were absolutely blasting some team like 13-1 or whatever. So they were like, that's fine, take a seat. And then that whole day leading up to semis, I was just like in the process of coming down with like a vicious bug. And by semis time, I was just like unplayable. And then I was like, it's okay, I'll fight this and get better for tomorrow. And then I just wasn't. And if you've ever had like a debilitating flu, you'll know what it's like. And I was just wandering around the sidelines for this whole game. Just fingers crossing that we were going to be able to pull it off. It's like, it's a helpless, but at the same time, it's like different from an injury. Because an injury, you're kind of like, oh, my leg's busted and I want to get on the field. When you're sick, I was like, I just don't even want to be anywhere. I just want to be home.
Yeah, Furious did hype this up on the Instagram there as the infamous Kevin Underhill flu game. So I know you're being compared to Jordan right now. So
yeah. Oh, don't worry. That happens all the time. Yeah, the guys were saying that. I remember getting messages from like some alum, and like I saw Andy Collins there, and he was like, dude, flu game, you've got this, like do it. And I was like rooming with Dre, and we were watching flu game highlights, and I was like, maybe I can do it. And then like we go out and I put out like 4 or 5 points on the field and turn the disc over 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, that's not I'm like, that's not how it's supposed to go, you know?
I was supposed to score 63 points today. What the hell?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Adrian, I was going to say, like, before we get away from these first few points, there's like no one in the crowd because it's like 4 degrees and windy and it's like 9 a.m. But also just, can you remember like how slick the grass was? I remember like during warm up and during the first few points, it was like, it was so slick.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing about playing the morning game in general. Like, you don't really think about that in terms of where you're scheduled, but I always think about that. Like when you're scheduled for the morning game, like the grass is just, unless it's going to be a super hot day where the sun is immediately super strong, like you're going to have a super duper slick field. Not only is the grass all dewy, but then obviously it had been raining on and off the whole weekend, so the actual ground is wet too, plus the dew on top of it. It was a pretty bad combination. A lot of tires getting blown out, a lot of cleats. I think I actually blew a cleat at one point during this game or something, and I had to...
You have extra or what?
No, I didn't even notice until afterwards, because I have it, but it was like one of the back, the back 4 studs on the back of your cleats. One of those I noticed like was gone at the end of the game, but I didn't even notice it during the game. So I don't know.
Well, it was so. I just remember being so slick, and it was like such an undesirable. Like I think we knew, like Adrian, our teams like knew it was going to be close. Like we had.
Oh yeah.
We had actually played you guys at the Select Flight Champ like 3.5 weeks before, and absolutely blasted you guys. But you had like half your roster, and we had like a bunch of injuries, and it was just like at the end of a 2-day banger with like 8 games, and it was just, you almost didn't even need to consider it.
Yeah.
I remember like
I missed that game because I missed the select flight, and I was super bummed. And then when I saw the score, I was like, oh, geez, that was brutal. I mean, it's funny because here we are 2-1. It's like we have the chance at break here. I think we even might pull off the break here, but I don't think at any point during this game were we thinking like, oh wow, we're gonna get blown out, or we are gonna blow these guys out. Like I think, as you said, the entire game we're gonna have to battle for this, to the end, which is sick. Which I love. I love that aspect of the rivalry where it's like I know that at any point the game could tip either way. It was the same sort of thing. 15. It was close right up until the end. Like I think we won by 2 points, and then the same thing in 11. Like every time, it's like that.
Yeah. Man, I was watching this point here, and you got Dre marking Lloyd. Dre was like giving him the old like 2007 like hug mark there for the first time.
There's a lot of that going on. It's funny you find that like certain guys, they'll mark each other and just be so extra on each other, like absolutely ridiculous. And then the other guy, like you would do that same thing on another person, and it would be a fight immediately. But the right two guys marking up on each other, they can bump and grind and slap each other in the face and everything, and they're like, yeah, nice point.
They're friends after.
I know. Like Bomber and Morgan just hammering each other. Nice point.
Okay, so I guess you guys open up at the break. That was a nice play. Watching that point, it's like you could tell you had like Lloyd and then a bunch of like faceless army boys out there, and you could just tell Lloyd was gonna go every other, he was just gonna will that point in, especially after I think he got the really nice block earlier in that. So that was sick. Yeah.
The guy who caught that point though, JJ.
Oh yeah.
Is so sick, so underrated. The guy is so long and lanky and can jump so high, but nobody knows, nobody covers him. Nobody's like, oh yeah, you got to watch out for that guy.
Army though. That's what Kevin's saying.
Yeah, apologies JJ for calling me faceless. I love JJ
too. I'm agreeing with you. Like I think he would fall into that category, but it's just crazy because he's actually so sick. Like, yeah. It's so interesting how that happens. But yeah, and he made a bunch of like really, really nice grabs that whole weekend.
For sure.
Just like that. But yeah, Mark just so ridiculous.
I remember I might get my first nod here. Oh no, yeah, there I am. I'm like, I was thinking when we scored our first O point like so cleanly. I was like, nice. Like I remember talking to Matt before the game, and I was basically like, if we get broken, put me on. Otherwise, I'm in deep trouble right now. Like
I'm down to give someone a rest if they need one, but I'm not about to.
Yeah. It's funny. I remember I came to warm up like because I didn't sleep the night before, and I remember it just being a disaster. And I fell asleep like kind of beginning like right near when we were gonna leave for the fields, and Matt said just stay and like come with his wife Katie, who gave me a ride to the field like right before the game started. I was like and I tried to eat some potatoes, and it was anyway, we don't need to dwell on that, but I just remember
like
being
worse,
like
worse
I
for
don't think I'm gonna play at all.
That's funny. Yeah, man. It's I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. I'm kind of
who is that? LaFrance?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember he called a pick, and I remember being like, dude, you weren't like, we were just milling around in the stack. You know what? Honestly, I probably just wanted to get off the field. I was like, dudes, don't call a pick. Let's go. Oh, you don't even want to mark me right now. Believe me.
Just trying to get in your head, man. He's a young guy. He's just figuring out the mental game. He's like, okay, what do I get in this guy's head? I got to call a pick right here, slow him down, get him a little rattled. Not that it worked.
And this game wound up being pretty messy. I remember talking to guys before the game and like talking to friends and family and saying like, I think if Furious plays like our best game, we will win. I remember being like extremely confident that like where we were with the team, if we play our best, like we're gonna do this. And then I'm sure Goat was thinking the same. And then neither team played nearly their best at all during this game.
There's a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, really sloppy.
But also like I found that it was kind of deceptively windy. Like
sure.
And it was kind of shifting deceptively in the sense that it wasn't consistent. It was like kind of going back and forth, weather veining on the field. So it was kind of tough to get a handle on it, especially the cross fields. A lot of turnovers on cross field shots because of that.
And it was cold. You'll see like the coaches are in like jackets and pants. Like, remember, this is August in Edmonton, right? Like, we got thrashed that whole week. On day 2, we played our crossover games in like 80-kilometer-an-hour winds, and they were just jokes.
That was absurd. I remember, we had a game against Phoenix. That was sorry if there's anyone from Phoenix watching this to bring this game up.
But it's okay.
Probably a sore spot because that was a rough game. I think it ended up 15-1 or something like that.
Yeah, but don't bring that out to the Phoenix guys.
but it was just like the most ridiculous upwind downwind situation. Like the wind was so insane. Yeah, I felt that.
The same thing happened with us in Strike, and no disrespect to Strike. I think this always happens like day 2 at CUC. You get the top 2 programs like Goat and Furious in the open division crossing over with the kind of like next set of teams that are going to be pretty, because pool play is usually like a bit of a smash and grab and you get out of there. And then on day 2, you're going to cross over with like the like 3 or 4 seeds or whatever. And and you never really know, because it's like, you're always like, well, Strike's pretty good and Phoenix is pretty good and Montreal's they're good. But then that day just absolutely eliminated any. That was so dumb. Like the same thing happened. We played Strike in a hard capped game that was like 13-3 or something. And it's just, there was like 1,000 turnovers.
Yeah, that's rough. So here we go.
Sorry, Adrian?
No, I'm just trying to get a handle on this O point here. I just remember.
You with the disc right there with the collision.
I remember that happening. I remember being pretty rattled because I had like a whole plan in my mind of what was going to happen, and then turned up and everyone was stopped. I was like, "What the? Oh shit!"
Happened earlier.
2 guys just blew up.
Are actually injured like that. So. I remember this. I remember this moment in the game because we had already gotten that one break, and up one break is the most dangerous lead in Ultimate. No, I'm just kidding. But I remember this moment because this was like us. There was just so much built up to this game. See, there was another little blown gasket there because of the field. But I remember thinking like, we need to get this point. Like, this is a huge hold for us because, I mean, Furious D, like, is real good. Like, you guys have so many amazing players on D, and I'm just like, we need that hold so badly. And then when we got that, like, it was off the back of a blown tire right outside the end zone, which is pretty much going to result in a goal 100% of the time. But I remember thinking that one was huge.
It's funny, Adrian. I remember like our teams right now, and we mentioned it at the top of the show today, but our teams right now get along pretty well, I would argue. And I think that's because like in 2012 and then 2016, a lot of the guys have all played and meshed together in a national team environment. So there's a lot of like, and you can see already like in the first few points, there's a lot of like hugs and high fives between the 2 teams and everything. It's funny knowing what's like coming down the pipe with this game, like a super close finish. And I don't know, it's interesting just to like follow up on the rivalry. It's like you almost want to beat your friends more. That's what I find. Totally. It's like I love you guys, but like I want to win that game so bad.
Absolutely. And it makes the game just so much better because everyone's a little bit like looser on a certain level. But like when you have that kind of animosity, it's so important to win that you tighten up and it becomes difficult. Like it's hard and it spirals out of control in either direction super fast. But when you have that kind of rivalry that's based on respect and then it makes both teams play better, I find, because both teams are a little bit looser. It's not like this life or death, like I'm going to be so upset, like I'm going to, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at Fear. Oh my gosh.
That's the blown tire we were talking about off air, right? So.
I know. It just went for the plant and just Didn't
It's
happen.
gonna get both teams. I remember we were talking about that. We're like, that's just gonna happen to both teams. We just have to be ready.
Yeah. Just have to hope it happens in the right place. Yeah, there was almost one right there.
Yeah, I like the Dre Lloyd matchup's pretty hype.
Yes, such a good matchup, especially because Mark is playing more of a handler role, who can strike, and Dre is like pretty quick, man. He's got some quick feet. I like him on a handler. It's like Remy. You know, Remy Ojo. Most people think that because he's got big skies and big hops, and that would be much better covering deep players, and not that he's not good at that, but I find Remy's real good at covering handlers, and I feel like Dre is kind of similar in that respect.
Yeah, there's also like a pretty big advantage of having like a bigger body playing in the handler position, like in a handler defense position. Peter Hughes, someone who exhibits the exact opposite, but there's like to each their own. We've played against a lot of players who like have that bigger frame, and if you're relatively quick on your feet, can actually make it a pretty big nightmare. Like I always like when I'm handling and I get covered by a little guy, I'm like, I'm like, you know what? They're gonna be fast and tough to get open on anyway, but at least like I have an advantage that I already know. Like I'm a little longer. When you're playing against like a big like Dre Galitz Rubenesque defender.
I know he's got those big gorilla arms, and big shoulders, a big wingspan. Like, man, I don't want to throw against that. I also find that like those guys who have those springs, it's like over short distances, that ability to power out and lay out like that is super, super dangerous. Yeah. Like trying to get open on dumps, it's like when you have the ability to take 2 steps and fly like that, man, that's hard to get open on.
All right, so take this in.
Yeah, let's see what's going on here. So, Mark, we're moving back a little bit here. Carroll, a rare Andrew Carroll layout.
Nice Adrian getting hyped up for that one.
Morgan, come on now. Not even close.
Was he calling that down?
Yes.
Dude, I think I remember on the sideline, I'm like, that's down for sure.
I mean, the thing is that us watching, we're like, I guess we're watching from this side, but yeah.
It looks pretty up. It looked pretty up on camera, and I think it was up, so that's... I'm chilling with Thompson there in the bottom corner, just color comments. Oh, no, Mark, my guy.
Rough times from the Lloyds there. I would say 90, and maybe this is exposing him, but I don't mean to. But I'm going to say the lion's share. Like Mark, obviously one of the sickest players to ever come out of the GOAT system, for sure. For some reason, the backhand eludes him in those kind of situations. The guy's got the most monster flick of all time, such crazy control, hops, D's, everything. But all his turnovers come on the backhand side. I don't know what's that.
You're saying he needs more training there, Adrian?
No, I think there's no more training that can be done. I don't know what it is.
There's Malcolm squiggling open. Yeah. Man, it was just hard, especially in the first half. Like it was slick, cold, windy, and we were like tight. Like both teams were just like obviously a little tight. I know like we talked about it being like a final and it's just kind of hard, but it felt hard, and both teams know each other so well. The defense has got it pretty cued in. Like you see the set plays, and probably combined between the two teams over the course of 30 set plays, we probably get like 4 off with any kind of success.
Yeah, well, and also due to our constant intermingling on Team Canada, like our playbooks are pretty damn.
Just different names.
Yeah, different names. Yeah, like but they're pretty much the same.
Oh no, heartbreaker. I remember that. It was like
into the instant jack down the field. Not bad.
Throw a backhand.
You see that? Close, man. Yeah, no, not to say that. The thing is, Mark, he doesn't have many turnovers, but the turnovers that he does have.
Yeah, I got you.
I got you.
I mean, right now he's thrown 2 breaks, so we can.
Yeah, we gotta take him down a little bit.
Yeah.
Dude, 5-2, Adrian, 5-2. Come on.
5-2. Things are looking good for us right now.
Man.
So a timeout happens here. Kevin, can you maybe share like what your team would be saying to? You probably might not remember exactly what was said, but what would you be saying in a situation like this, being down 3 points?
I think I'm in the porta potty right now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure Matt is like, I mean, our coach, Matt Bearson, he's also coaching the national team. He's a pretty calm guy. I mean, he has a fiery side to him, no doubt, as we all have witnessed. And, but especially as a coach, he's being extremely calm. And I'm sure at this point he was just like giving us positive feedback for what we have been doing well. And because I think like for the most part, our offense has actually been fine, a little stagnant. We probably had some feedback on trying to get the lanes moving a bit more, trying to generate more pace out of the handlers. But really, like things that have gone well, we had a blown tire, we had a couple just brutal mistakes. Honestly, like there's no way we're getting reamed out right now. I'll tell you that for free. Yeah. But he's probably just keeping us loose. I don't know. I mean, 5-2, that sucks, right? It's like it's tough to get the start, especially considering it was like 2 super clean 0 points to start the game. I felt like it could have easily settled into a rhythm, but then obviously go with a couple of good breaks and
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, it was like pretty similar over on our end because we're up 5-2, but at the same time, as I was saying earlier on, like we at no point were we thinking like, okay, this game is going to end, 15-6. Based on this trend, like that wasn't ever our thinking. Like, we got 2 breaks, so we got ourselves a cushion. But you get punched through a cushion, you could still get hurt. Like that's it's only gonna do so much. Like so, so for us, it was like sort of the same thing, like keeping us level. Like we have this whole thing about the relationship between like anxiety and excitement, and how you have to like manage both of like if those are 2 like resources that you have that are constantly fluctuating inside of you. You have to like sort of manage them both to be effective. So we can't get too excited, but then we also can't get too complacent. So we have to so Sachin is pretty good about trying to manage us there and bring us down when we're up 5-2. It's like, okay, great, we got this. Now let's bring it down and play like a 0-0 here again. And obviously it didn't, necessarily like that, but
I think I remember we knew, especially because our strength really lay in our D line this year. I mean, obviously offenses can have like big games, and we had some obviously, but our D was extremely strong this year. And I remember we were like, we're gonna get turns, and we're gonna punch some breaks in. Let's just keep on keeping on, because I think at this point in the game, I don't think, again, like Adrian said, I don't think either team was thinking this is going to be a blowout. But there is a little bit of extra urgency, like we're down 5-2. You really don't want to go into half like getting absolutely stepped on, because that's just a tough halftime speech, and then that's a tough second half run. But
yeah. And I mean, to what you're saying earlier too, it's like at this point our major points have come off of pressure, but mistakes. And you guys are pressuring us too, and like when you get pressured, you're gonna make mistakes. And so as much as like you guys have made the mistakes to this point, like probably we're gonna make some mistakes too. It's not
no spoilers
to expect. I'm more mean like in the huddle, like that's what we're saying. Like, that it's not reasonable for us to expect at that point like we're gonna play a perfect game. So like we're thinking like we're gonna make mistakes too. They're gonna get back into this game. Let's just try to manage it, right?
Yeah. There you see. The last point was Tim blasting one. Sometimes you just like Tim is such a treat to have on the team. 90% of the time, let's say. But he's just like, sometimes you just need someone to like absolutely rifle a 60-yard dart, especially coming out of a tough situation. We were stagnant, getting driven back actually, and then a little give go, and then he just absolutely rips one to Dre, who's probably everyone's favorite target on offense at least. But it's like, not very many guys have that type of power on flick and backhand, and Tim is one of those like spectacular throwers that it's really nice to have have him just like munch up a few points per game. You know, it's like, you know, every game he's going to huck like 3 dimes. So.
and like that throw a laser right to the back of the end zone too, to a guy like Dre. Like that's a tough throw to cover against. In general, I find he's another guy like that, like Cassidy Rasmussen. He's another guy who's got those, and he burned us a lot of times in the ADL of just like darts to the back of the end zone, and guys just running perfectly in stride. Yeah, this is a nice D here, I think, by Morgan. Yep. Man.
No shortage of his. Like when he does that, it's just so dramatic, you know. It's like not that he's hamming it up. It's like he's 6'5" and is like long and has big long levers, and it's like that's what it looks like. But it's definitely not graceful. That was clutch.
His body like unfolds so like sinuously, like you know. See, but that was rough. But I don't know. But. See, that's the thing. That throw that Morgan just got that D in is hung up right near the first third of the end zone, allowed Morgan to get that thing. If that's a dart right to the back of the end zone, like Tim threw, that's a goal.
Yeah. Now we see Fred Lamb doing his Fred Lamb stuff.
Thompson. You see that? I'm standing there wide open, right in the back. And Thompson's like, "No, Adrian, move out of the way. I gotta throw it through these 3 guys." Straight to the ground. That's the plan, right? That's what we talked about.
Straight to Fred Lamb's mid.
Straight to the dirt. Nice one.
And Patrick Mooney was giving big credit out to Fred Lamb last week. He was just saying that he was an incredibly important player for Team Canada, that 2015 championships or U23. So big shout out to him.
Fred Lamb's nasty.
Hanging one up.
He's just a real university ultimate game here.
Well, five turnover point. I'm pretty sure Morgan gets another big time block in the same point. Maybe it's later.
Sure.
Adrian, what's up, baby? You got the disc.
Yeah.
He's got the big fake too.
Pretty sure I turned this over.
Oh, yeah, the commentator's curse right there.
My goodness. Yeah, they told me this guy was fast, and then
out throwing Carroll. What was he doing?
I was told that was impossible, but I don't know. Ooh.
Nice hands by Fred there.
Yeah, Fred. I feel like every time I play against Fred, I'm surprised by how large he is. Somehow.
Thick boy.
In between every time, and he's the same size every time. But every time I'm like, yeah, you're huge.
Oh man, can we fast forward there?
This is a real CUC final.
Yeah.
UBC versus U of T.
Adrian, you're getting chirped here in the chat from Mr. Swifter himself.
Who is? Who's Mr. Swifter? Reveal yourself.
I believe it's Ben Burrell, but I'm not. I don't want to.
No, I'm just kidding. Oh, Oregon. Spicy block.
Second D right there.
Yeah.
This is one of those situations where Morgan's like a little banged up after his second D, and everyone on the sidelines like, sweet, Dre's gonna get subbed in. Morgan's just like, he's like blasted his wrist or his elbow or his knee or whatever he's got torn over the last 10 years, and he's just like, I'm out. You can just tell he's like, oh my god.
That's great. I mean, he has I would say, Morgan have like 6 or 7 sweet D's in this game. Get a couple like down the stretch that were.
Yeah, he's pretty clutch. He's been doing it for a long time. Big shout out for Morgan.
Yeah, man. The 1 year where he played on Go.
I was gonna say, didn't he play for you at one point there, Adrian?
Yeah. He was nasty for us.
There should be a quiz of how many players have played for both Goat and Furious in their career. We should do a quiz here, see if either.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd get 100%, but.
Morgan, when he played with us too, like for whatever reason, like him and I were playing on the same line, and I threw so many goals to Morgan during that year or during that season when he played with us. Sweet, loved having him on it. I know there was like maybe some bad blood about the circumstances around him playing.
Did we talk about it?
You can bring the hot takes if you want.
Yeah, that was like pretty intense. Like we haven't like it's obviously. I mean, essentially, like he played for Furious for half the year and then left and played GOAT for the second half after World Clubs in 2014. But yeah, I mean, we were like a little salty that a guy in our team dipped to play for a different team during a year, but. I mean, we've since settled it.
I also heard he kind of like lobbed a grenade over his shoulder as he walked out the door. So I don't know if you have any hot takes about that.
I mean, so I'm definitely not going to go into the full details, but more. I mean,
he may be watching, so.
I mean, Morgan at the time, he was a part of the leadership group as well, which was just sort of like an extra sting. And you know what? I mean, I'm not going to just sit here and shit talk Morgan all for the stream, but because he's a sick player, and he's been such an important part of the program for so long. But he's just sort of like, it wasn't like it was just so abrupt, I think is what it was. He was like, these are the things that are going wrong with Furious. I'm out. And for the lack of a better way of describing it. And so, yeah, he left us in a bit of a tizzy, but you know what? That's a long time ago, and we've all kind of like dealt with it. But
yeah. No, I've been watching a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm here for the shade.
That's why I brought Adrian on, just for that. But Aaron Liu was part of that as well, right? Was he? We got that from Timeout Spikes there in the chat. Was Aaron Liu part of Furious at that time as well, Kevin? And then he moved on to GOAT, or was he not playing that year?
No, he wasn't playing that year. I think he hadn't played for a couple of years actually.
He had moved to like Halifax or something like that, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Although I will say, like when he showed up on GOAT in 2014, I was like, "What the?" I was like, "What is like, dude?"
Yeah, there was this whole thing about because he was in Nova Scotia somewhere, and
yeah, I mean that made some sense.
Yeah. It's a little bit closer.
Yeah. But I do remember it was like, now there was like two Furious guys that we considered Furious dudes playing for GOAT. And I remember us being like, what's happening? Like, is this going to become a theme?
I know. See, I like the mingling between teams, but yeah, there's something to be said for doing it the right way. That said, there was a really funny incident. There was a guy, this is not for Furious, but with Ottawa, because there's also a lot of mingling between Toronto and Ottawa as well. And in this, last year we had a couple guys. We had Paul and Paul Mensa from Ottawa, and we obviously Alec, and but Alec didn't play with us this tournament though. But we have had Alec on the team before, and Andy O, and a lot of guys. But there was one guy who also played on our team in 2010, our under 23 team, Keelan Way.
Yeah.
Really good player, good dude. And at one point we reached out to him at sort of the same time where we were reaching out to some of the other Ottawa guys. We're like, hey man, you want to come play on GOAT for the season? And he was like, yeah, I could be down for that, but the only way I would play is if you guys change the name.
Oh my God, get out of here!
We were like, what? And he's like, yeah, like I was like, I'm not gonna play on GOAT, so like I'll play with you guys. But we were like, man,
I kind of like that.
I was like, respect, like I guess you won't be playing then because we're not gonna change the name. That's not happening.
I just want to hear the team name suggestions that this person had.
I know he didn't even have a suggestion. He was just like, just change the name it something else.
TFC, Toronto Flatball Club. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, Furious with back-to-back breaks to get this thing back to tie.
There you go.
With the saucy elevator pass over. What was that? I mean, I'm a big
two in a row.
A big fan.
Yeah. Hey, that's Matt Goodkey. I mean, honestly, you got to tip your cap. It's like he probably played 1 or 2 points during this game, I think. I mean, he's like, and he's out there delivering a break for us. So bless. And yeah, that was a class, a little over the top to Samson Hoy.
Yeah, that was nasty. I liked it.
Sick. Yeah, I mean, he good key learned from Derek Alexander, right? So all those Ottawa kids that are like, you know,
that was an Alexander throw. Yeah.
They're all just like stepping way out and trying to do the splits and doing like the fanciest shit I've ever seen in my life. So you meet those Ottawa guys, you're like, whoa, where?
It's true. It's weird that all Ottawa guys play like Derek Alexander. All Ottawa handlers at some point play like Alexander. I don't know what it is. The guy's so good, though. He's so good.
They want to learn, man. They want to learn.
Yeah. You learn from the master. So, yeah, here 5-5. Now we're in the opposite. Now this huddle is
I was going to say, now what are you talking about there, Adrian, on your side?
This huddle, yeah, man. Well, again, so this is us reiterating exactly what we were saying at the beginning. This is a game of, like, moves and counter moves, right? Like, we go up 5-2. That means that it's possible to score 3 points in a row like this in this game. And these are two good teams. And if we can score 3 points in a row, they can score 3 points in a row. And, hey, they did it. Like, let's go. Here we are. It's a reset on the game. We're 0-0 again. Game to 3 for half. Like,
yeah.
That's key. Because our whole thing is, like, in general, we think about games as a series of games to 3. Always. So for us, it's like at this point, now we have a game to 3 for half. Yeah.
You can see the Sixers rolling in, and I think Iris is rolling in just by the camera side as well, getting ready for their final. It's pretty funny. Like, I think, obviously we'll probably cover this later in about an hour, but when it gets down to the line, when it gets like right down to the wire and you're warming up for your final, like they're warming up for their final afterwards, but you could just, it's like, they're also kind of like, what's happening over there?
They don't really want to watch.
It's about to go to Universe Point.
Yeah. I know.
But
and then Iris made this whole like wall of water bottles down the sideline or something. It was wild.
Well, we've been in that situation just like reverse where it's like the mixed finals happening and you're doing your warm up and you hear some like awesome cheers and you're kind of like,
yeah,
what's happening?
Like, trying to get like zoned into the game and psyched up, but you're kind of like, damn it.
Well, Adrian, there's finally some butts in the seats because I remember it's also hard. It's like, let's get real, right? It's like it's CUC, the party's the night before. So everyone's like out, you know, having a sick time. And then what are they're supposed to get to the fields for 9 a.m. to watch. It's like, that's not happening. That's why when the first poll went up, there was like 6 people in the crowd.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I know. And I get it. Like, you know, people got flights to make, like they don't want to leave it too late, like the games, but yeah, it is rough. I find in general, no matter when, no matter what team it is, the morning slot is always the roughest for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Although it's kind of nice. It is, well, there's both sides of the coin because I've also played the last slot and then you're just like spend all day being like, all right, big game today. Like just trying to stay loose during the day, but also like making sure you're ready. So there is something to be said. I mean, I'm not going to use this game as an example for me, but there's something to be said for just like getting up, getting to the field, warming up and getting into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe like we could push till 11. Like that'd be all right. Right.
Exactly. That's a huge difference. And like, but the other thing about the end of the day games too is like for flights home. It's so nice if you're playing the early games to be able to book a flight home at like 3 or you know, and be able to get home at a reasonable hour rather than having to take a red eye home or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that's
what
I think I flew back at like 4 or something after this one.
Right. Usually we like to book, like, I know like me and like probably a few other guys like to book the like next day. I mean, especially for CUC, like you never know how this game's going to go. And you kind of want to stay if things go well. Like,
so I know.
Off work.
I know.
Adrian, I actually remember a funny story is way back in 2011, like I'm sure you'll remember this, but in 2011, you were, as far as I can recollect, you were the only one to like come out after the game. And I remember being really appreciative of that. And I like knew that we were all going to probably be teammates in 2012. I guess I didn't know that for a fact, but I remember being like this Adrian guy, like I knew you, but didn't know you that well. And even though you guys lost on Universe in 2011 in the finals, you still came out and like hung out with us, which I thought was really cool. Good luck.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was, that was a weird one too, because it was just such a crazy game and it was such a crazy like experience for me too, being super injured and not knowing if I was going to be allowed to play, and then like I sort of played a couple points, but I don't know. That was a really weird one. But yeah, and then it was nice to come out, and it sort of honestly like took a little bit of the sting off of it for me to come out and hang out with you guys afterwards. Because it's the worst thing after a loss like that is driving home with a whole bunch of people that also lost the game with you. And
you're all in a down mood.
Horrible.
That's rough. Yeah.
Half-hour drive home from Ottawa, but I'm coming out, hanging out with a whole bunch of people that are pumped and happy and cheering. This is great.
Even I guess I can feel you there. This play was pretty crazy. Actually, it was like Tim was completely stacked. Like
I was gonna say your stack did not look clean there, Kevin. It was
far from it.
What?
Then,
Ty.
Yeah, and then he blasted like a huck power flick to Ty, who was 9 yards away from him. But Ty, another shout out to one of our like younger guys. He's actually been in the program for like 4 years already, but he's a sick player and a sick goal scorer. Like he scores like 4 goals in this game, or maybe 5, and he's just got a nose for the goal. You saw he scored the first couple goals, and then you see him making that grab, which is sweet. But yeah, shout out for Ty BB.
Ty BB. I don't really know Ty. I've like met him a few times, but like I never like hung out with him very much. But yeah, I've noticed him as well, just because he was like scoring tons of points. Yeah, he seems like a real like oh my God, what was his name? Mark Roberts? Was that his name?
Just a goal scoring robot.
Yeah, exactly. Just like a dude who's just somehow in the right. You look up and you're like, oh, perfect.
Yeah. Well, honestly, so, funnily enough that you mentioned that, it's like. Especially in this last year and a bit, it's like he just became like a really good end zone. I mean, he's a good cutter overall, and he's young and fast and springy. He's got all the tools, so that's sweet. But he had like become a like end zone scoring specialist when we're in our end zone for plays exactly like that, where he just finds a little space and Tim zaps it to him, or he pops off the back of the stack and gets a little sharp one around. It's like he finds a way to just wind up scoring the goal for us in the end zone, which is. You might just be like, wow, how did that happen? But it actually, when it's a pattern, it becomes, pretty important to have guys like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not an easy thing. Like that requires, and you can't really teach that. Like I feel like guys just are able to do that, or they're not. Like you kind of have a nose for where you're supposed to be. It's hard to like. There's only so much in Ultimate the film tools and this film study that you can do. It's not very robust. It's not a lot of material, and the methodology or the method of doing it isn't very advanced in the same way that it is in like football, for example, or something like that.
Right. Oh man,
crazy bladed throw there.
Fred gets the big fist pump over his head there.
Oh man, that was amazing. Again, that was another one of those shots that like comes to the end zone, and then right as it gets to the middle of the end zone, just stops, and you gotta wait for it. That you got that Timmy T zip right to the back. That's a goal.
Oh man, I honestly remember this. I was like, we're gonna break this, and then in my mind, I was like, we're gonna break for half, and then we're off. Like we're off to the races. Like I'm not even gonna play another point in this game, and we're just gonna like. I just remember being so friggin' jazzed at this point. I remember being like, this is happening.
Oof.
Nice huck by Bayless there. Honestly, I mean, if we can keep shouting out guys in our own team, if that's cool, if that's kosher.
Wow, Kevin, you can do whatever you want, man. Keep shouting them out. I think they paid you beforehand, but it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Pat Bayless is a guy who came up from Revolver. He had played like 10 years of Revolver and moved to Vancouver. Yeah. He's a professor at UBC in Vancouver, and he didn't play in his first year, but then like his first year living in Vancouver, but then he played this year. And even though he wasn't like extraordinarily vocal, he like just his natural like experience playing on so many title teams, and so like
when you're that much of a winner, like you just know how to win.
Yeah, and the experience like really like bled off on us in important situations, and I think like that's a good example there where he like bombs kind of a sharp huck into traffic to for a huge break right before half, and it was like I don't know how many guys on the team like have the sort of like guts to take that stab. And it's just like for him, I don't know. It's like just in him. It's like he played important college stuff with Carleton. He played in like 7 championship games or more with Revolver. It's like he knows it and he just like shot it. And yeah, so he is pretty important to the team in this game for sure, but also just overall great dude.
Yeah, I remember seeing him there and being like, I know this person. Like, who is this?
I've played against him before.
He's not a rookie. What's this?
Well, he was our rookie class this year, like our quote unquote. This is a good story, actually. Like, we instead of calling them rookies this year, we called them new additions, which is like a real PC term for rookies. But essentially, what happened was like all of our rookies were like pretty veteran guys or guys that had played on Furious before and were rejoining the fold. So we had like Cole Keffer, I guess, who hadn't been on Furious but had played a ton of Team Canada Ultimate, like senior and junior. We had Pat Bayless. Will Vu was rejoining the team after a couple years hiatus. So like these guys, and Ben Burrell, who is actually came over from GOAT as well. So like these are guys who like calling them rookies just like wouldn't really be a fair statement. And so we called them new additions, and probably the best new addition class I've seen in a long time. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good crop of rookies there, man. Not bad.
Yeah, Cole Keffer getting some shout outs here. So you're going to shout out Cole as well there, Kevin? He's getting some shout outs in the chat. So
yeah, he's all right. He's
not worthy of a shout out.
Cole's such a great, like, as like a captain and leader on the team, I like just like pray for taking guys like Cole on the team, because he grew up in playing like rugby at a super high level and has only recently made the full-time switch to Ultimate. So having a guy with just such an elite like sports background is just such a treat, because you give him feedback and you can immediately see him implementing it. He never backtalks. He's always positive. I mean, some of that's just Cole being Cole, but some of that is his like experience and background. So yeah, I mean, if we're going to shout out Cole, it's like what an absolute delight he was on the team this year.
Well, he played with us in 2018. Yeah, at Club Worlds. Such a good addition. Such a good new addition for us.
Yeah. Yeah, he's also just like insanely nice, which is such a nice. It's just so good to have like good dudes that are fun and nice. Frankly, it can't go overstated. 7-7. I guess this is like, honestly, before the very first poll went up, I was like, it'll probably be tied at half. Like, that's a. I don't know if I expected it to be like 3 breaks apiece, but I kind of thought it was going to be close.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that was Jeremy Norden who scored that one. Another holdover from our 2010 under 23 team.
Yeah.
A bunch of us.
Lots of representation from that team in this game here for sure.
Yeah.
And,
that was Cam.
We got clarification there. Cam Harris caught the goal. But Adrian, are you power lining here? Are you putting some O-line guys out there, or is it mostly strict D-line here?
No, this is our D-line. Yeah, we'll power line towards the end, but honestly, like, I think Carol's out there, but other than that, this is our D-line. And because those guys, like, our D-line practices offense just as much as our O-line. I mean, we have guys. I think just the difference is that our O-line really practices set plays, and our D-line practices just picking up the disc with defense already on them. But that's really the main difference. And they're way better than us. So that's really we have to play out. They can play out. We have to.
Adrian being humble. Maybe it's just late career Adrian as an O-liner. But, if anyone has watched any games from the 2012 World Championship in Japan, Adrian's probably among the best defenders in the world at that moment for sure. Can I do that? Can I shout out my co-host?
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That's nice.
Kevin's just shouting out everybody right now. Love it.
Oh man. Okay, so this play, I remember this because Andrew Dickman, who tried to jump up there with Mikey, I think they got the D, and then he said he had a chance to like dive for the second play, which I thought was actually a pretty fair comment. Like, I watched this clip a couple times, and I feel like But then I think it winds up being contested observer ruling no foul, which I also think is a fair ruling, to be honest, in this situation. But I remember at the time it was like, you know what, he could have maybe had a play on the second one, but
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough though, because I feel like I always find those ones to be tough unless somebody has like gets a clean D and then like tackles the guy and actually like is on top of him or something. But I always find that like, or I always think that, you know, you're entitled to your space. Like if I get a D and now I'm in your way and you can't get to the disc, like that shouldn't be on me. Like I'm entitled to be there, you know. And if
yeah,
I'm blocking you from getting the disc, like I should be able to stand my ground, you know.
I think they just got like tangled up a little bit after what looked like a clean block or a drop or something. So I think honestly that probably resolved fine.
I also find it hard to fault anyone for calling that, because at the end of the day, if you think you can get the disc and you're being stopped, like of course you're going to be like, man, foul. Like I'm trying to get the disc and you're in my way. But that's why it's good to have observers there, because they can sort of more interpret the broader situation. And I think that's what he did rule was like, there was no, you were going to get that. Is I think what the observer ended up saying. Here we are. I'm trying to figure out which. I think it was just a little marking foul or something. Ooh!
Totally bit the dust.
Mikey with a pop fly.
I just remember I felt like I was just running in molasses during this game. Like on top of everything, I was just like, I'm so slow. Every time I took a step, I was like, I'm not. Look at that. Like I'm just getting absolutely torched by Tolly, like ruthlessly shut down. Not that Tolly isn't an awesome defender. I was just like, I remember I was like, oh my God, I'm running in friggin' quicksand today.
The flu game. That's what we were hyping it up as, the flu game.
Yeah. You get treated. Oh, come on. That was
what an insane end to the halves. Oh man, yeah, that one we didn't deserve, but we'll take it.
I remember I've talked with Dre about this before, but like sometimes before big points, we get like a little too jacked up on the line. We're like, this is like we score to take half. Like we gotta do it, you know? And we were like, and I think that's one of those times where maybe we just have to be a little more chilled out in the line and be like, it's a regular point, no worries. Like the game's on serve at this point. Let's just work the disc up. But no, I think to my recollection, it was like at least someone on the line said, we have to score this point, guys.
What? We do? Oh shit.
Okay, let's pump the brakes here a little bit.
That's too funny.
All right, so we're at half here, so we're going to take a quick break to give Kevin and Adrian a break here. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and we'll be right back in a couple of minutes for the second half.
everyone, and welcome back to the Ivory Dent Sports Complex here in Edmonton, Alberta. At the 2019 Canadian Ultimate Championships, we are bringing you the second half of our Explore Edmonton Open Divisional Final between Vancouver's Furious George and Toronto's GOAT. The game at 8-7. GOAT started the game on offense, and after some back and forth trading and some breaks, we are on serve with GOAT pulling to Furious. Lloyd's pull. By Bryson.
Welcome back, folks. Ultimate Watch Party, second half here. You got Canadian Ultimate legends here, Adrian Yearwood, Kevin Underhill. As it was said in the chat, if you like the streams, we would love for you to throw us a sub here on Twitch. Amazon Prime members get a free subscription per month, so we would love that. You can also check out my podcast and other content there on my Instagram at One and Only Sports. And big shout out again to Tuck and the VUL for kind of partnering with us and promoting the stream as well. So, Kevin, Adrian, you ready for the second half? I know, Adrian, maybe you not so much, but...
Why?
I don't really understand.
Look, I'm prepared now, okay? So.
Yeah, he got a drink now, so he's ready for the second half.
Yeah.
Second half, he can play and tell us off air. So.
And just for the record, Theo, if you can call us Ultimate Legends, it doesn't make it so. But appreciate it.
Just trying to hype you up, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And 8-8.
Quick hold. There. Quick hold. With a janky huck from Brendo, I think that. Yeah, man, it got there though.
We've used that multiple times on the stream. Janky.
Yeah, man, it's a good word. It's got a lot of character to it.
Yeah.
All right, Adrian, I've got a question for you.
Yeah, man.
From your time playing Team Canada in 2012 and 2016, and not including me, because I know obviously I'd be your first choice, but who, maybe you can give me two or three, who are your favorite all-time Furious teammates to play Team Canada with?
Ooh, great question.
Kevin, bring the hot questions. I like it.
Andy Collins.
Of course. Should go without saying.
Yeah. Obviously, so we'll get that one out of the way. And probably, it depends if I'm thinking about like on the field or just in general. Like I would say let's say
off the field.
Off the field, yeah, AC and like. This is a tough one. Because I really
like Kevin. You got to give him the prep beforehand here.
No. This is okay. No, this is okay because like I really liked hanging out, especially in 2012, but also in 2016 because there just weren't as many guys on the team in 2016. But I really liked kind of hanging out with all the guys, and doing our thing. I also really liked hanging out with. Oh my gosh, he's from Alberta.
Seb Toth?
No, not Seb. Another guy from Alberta.
TK?
Shorter. Yes.
TK.
Yes.
Yeah, TK's sick.
Yes, TK. Yes. Cool dude. Very cool dude. And obviously, Kevin.
Of course. Yes, of course. I mean, Adrian, we roomed together in.
I know.
Right? We roomed together in Japan. Dude, that was sick.
And I stayed at your place for a couple of days. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Me and another guy, Darren.
Oh yeah, Darren Clark from out east.
Yeah,
dude,
from New Brunswick.
Do you remember that? He was like, what did he say? Like, right? Like, I don't know. Do you remember this? It was I don't remember the exact, but he stayed like you and Darren Clark billeted at my house for tryouts for Team Canada 2012. And afterwards, he like either sent us a message or maybe just said like out loud to us. He was like, "All right, good luck at Worlds, dudes."
I remember that clearly. Well, I won't be there, but like sure you guys will have a great time. We were all like, yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
Darren was such a treat to hang around with that weekend. So that was pretty cool. And it's cool just to have like because he was like the sole representation from the Atlantic provinces. So it was just, I don't know, it's probably nice for him to get to like see that competitive environment for tryouts, and then also nice for us to have like a different perspective.
Totally. And I think for him, that was what it was. He was like, I want to go just to go and like see what it's like. You know, I think at that point he had only been playing mixed and had only ever played mixed. So he was like, you know, I want to see what it's like playing open and see where I am like in the hierarchy of everybody. And yeah, so I feel like he had a pretty good time too.
Ooh. Is it invite?
Brendo, man. Brendo.
Invite only? I think you had to apply.
Yeah. Apply and then invite. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, which is usually. Yeah, that was.
Let's talk Brendo for a few minutes
Brendo?
here while we got a break.
The undying Brendo, the ever young, Tuck everlasting. I don't know what's going on there, man. What's maybe you have some inside information because I don't get it.
Ageless. He's I mean, obviously been an awesome player for so long. I got a funny story about Brendo. In 2008 at World Champs in Vancouver, Brendo was playing in the mixed final for Team Canada. And I remember it was like, I was just like fairly new to Ultimate. I was like a huge nerd and I was volunteering at the tournament. And I was like so jacked up to just be at the event and checking it all out. And the volunteers got free tickets. So it was like my friends and I from high school, we were like chilling in the back, like with our back up against the cement watching. And Brendo was off limits for fantasy. That was like the running knowledge. It was like, you just couldn't take it. You just weren't allowed to take him.
Not fair, yeah.
Yeah, it's not fair, which is pretty dope. Then I was like, man, this guy's amazing. He's been playing for so long. And then like before you know it, like this is literally 12 or 13 years later and he's out there just, you know, ripping it up, right? He's already got 3 assists and we're only just past half. Like what a ledge.
Seriously. Well, I remember that was, I think, where the wheels fell off for us against the U.S. On Team Canada when Brendo got blown up in the middle of the stack, like cutting down, and then it just went way downhill from there. Like he's just one of those impact guys who he makes the great plays that you can obviously see, but then he also just makes so many amazing smaller plays that you don't even notice, like clears, little throws like that, man. Yeah, he's so good.
And he's so quiet. Like it's actually really funny knowing Brendo. Here's some hot goss about Brendo. Is like he's insane. He's insanely competitive. And he's really quiet, so you wouldn't like know that. And he's obviously very nice, and he's just been in the scene for so long. But like, it's not like everyone's got the inside track on Brendo, right? Like, who even knows what his deal is, right? But he's like so competitive that at practice sometimes it's like if our O-line's sucking a bit and we're just like not completing passes, you could hear him like muttering to himself. He'll be like. I'm like, all right, watch out for Brendo, like. You know, just because he never really shows that in like a game situation. And there's guys out here that are on the field right there that we can see that are like either barking at their teammates or barking at themselves. And it's like, you never see that with Brendo, but you get that sort of behind closed doors. Sometimes you see him like having a little like mini tweak out and I'm always like, watch out. You know, you've done something wrong if Brendo's having a little word with himself on the sideline.
Yeah, I know. It's so good. Okay. Also, I got to say, you know, if you're still watching, Ben, the only reason why I didn't say you as far as another Furious guy that I like to hang out is because I don't really consider you as a Furious guy.
Oh, okay. He's trying to save himself.
I consider you to be a Rush and Goat guy. That's why. So I wouldn't say that you're a Furious guy that I like to hang out with. Okay, so there you go.
Oh, man. I would have loved you to be like, the reason I didn't say you is because I just don't really like hanging out with you.
Yeah.
That's why you're not in my top 2. Oh man! Hey, we got ourselves a crowd finally. It must have been that 5.5. Oh no!
That was a rough call.
That was a stall down.
Being honest, but I think he's calling a foul.
No. Jackie called him down, and Tim was saying like, I got it up. That's gonna be a turnover no matter what.
Oh, okay. I thought he made like a little like.
No, I'm pretty sure he just said that he got it out. By the way, Jackie, like, love him to death, but like maybe fastest count in the league.
I would say he's using ADL rules in
rules in the club
scene. Like, what do you mean? It's just 7. Yeah, no, you got to get 10 seconds in 7 you know. So funny. Ooh, Tolley.
That's a dart. That's such a nice throw. Back line, Adrian. Back line.
JJ on the back line. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. You got to get it back there. Another one.
Back.
JJ Edwards. Dude, that's a hot tip.
Yeah. Talk to me about JJ's flag football game here, Adrian.
Okay. JJ is an avid flag footballer. Plays in several leagues in Toronto, including like a semi-professional flag football league. Yeah, the guy's legit. And he's so good. Like, he's just such a good athlete. And he's been such a good addition to our team, because for a while he didn't really play on GOAT. He played Rush a couple of years, but he didn't play GOAT. And then, he's just been such a good addition. He's also just one of the funniest people I've ever met. Absolutely hilarious dude. Yeah. And also, I just want to give a little shout out here to, there he is walking, number 34 on the left there, Phil.
Oh, bootstrap Phil Turner?
Yeah, exactly. It is so funny that you call him that, because I have called him so many times Footstrap Phil Turner, because obviously he's Phil, not Phil. But he's another guy who's like so like when he first joined the team, he ran. I don't even know who taught him how to run, but it was just wild. I don't know what was going on. Flailing all over the place, mechanics all off. But
the Western coaches, maybe.
Honestly, has worked so diligently on improving his throws, his running mechanics, everything. The guy is legit. He is such a good defender. Was one of the top defenders on our team last year on Rush and on GOAT. Like, is gonna be a nasty player.
He's a big body.
And a big boy. I know, the guy's huge.
Nice.
Ooh.
Oh, Lloyd.
Where?
Dude, I think there's a double foul call. I think I might have called one on the throw, and then Lloyd and Dre are in a little discussion too. There may be a little contact. That was a nice block, though.
That was, man. He's too long.
He's long.
So that was a foul on the throw, though. So
I think so. I mean, I definitely got mugged like right on the catch, and I think I got the throw out during like a piece of the mugging. That's like actually something that you can do, not in like a cheap type of way, but like if you're getting hit, if you're getting hit, like, and you can get a throw off of, that's like a good thing to do, because hopefully you can get a good throw and get a goal. But if not, you're taking some pressure and contact, so you actually have the foul call on it as well.
Seriously, I don't like calling fouls.
Yeah, I was gonna say free playing football.
Especially not early in the count. If somebody comes and bumps me on stall one, I would much rather either try to throw it or just work through it, because I don't know. I don't like disrupting the flow of things. Like, I would much rather just fight through it. And as you said, you try to get a throw off or something.
Well, also, I mean, the introduction of the contact rule has been pretty good for that. Like, I think, especially at the beginning, I felt like that was really weird, but it's grown on me over the last few years, and it's like you're able to reset the count on a foul, like on a foul, and the play keeps going, which is nice. But yeah.
The only thing I would say about it is that I wish that you had to call it audibly, because it is the strangest thing in the world. Like, when someone just keeps calling contact over and over.
Yeah, and they have like a 35-second count.
And it's been 30 seconds, and you're like, how is this not like, why am I still cutting right now? What's happening? Like, it's so strange. I don't know. I wish there was some kind of signal or something you had to do to let people know that contact has been called.
That's a good point.
And maybe that's because I find that it's just as strange for the offense as for the defense. Like, as a cutter, you're cutting around being like, what are you doing? What's happening right now?
Yeah. And as a defender, you're like, what? I have to play shutdown defense for 27 seconds? What is going on?
Like, somebody tell me. Oh, man. Yeah, another sloppy point here.
Yeah, there's Jonah with the disc that just flipped it to Dre. Here's another young guy who's joined the team in the last couple of years and shown a lot of promise, played on the U24 team this year. been good. He's like wiry and like lanky, and I feel like he doesn't like look the same when he's doing his throws. So there was like, but he's just got all the tools in the kit, and he's like 24, 25, and I think sky's the limit. Sky's the limit for a guy like that. 'Cause he's also springy, extremely springy, and like got these long levers.
I like the description, man.
Oh man, just so messy.
Love a good scuba though, gotta say.
Thanks, H.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Love that. Double scuba for the scuba. That's a good
it's the type
point.
of game it was. Like stuff wasn't really available.
Seriously.
I love a good bomber stomp off. Look at him. Come on.
But bomber stomps off when we score too. Like,
that's true.
No,
that's true.
Yeah.
God, he's such a beauty.
He's such an interesting person. Like if you knew him as an opponent and you knew him as a teammate, like those are two different people that you know. It's such an interesting thing. Like he is he is the giggliest, silliest, funniest person ever.
Yeah, top 5 laughs of all time.
Exactly, like so giggly. Like he never stops laughing. He's so happy and funny. Like, but then on the field, people are like, I hate this guy. He's the worst. Because he's just so angry and physical, and like he grinds people's gears. He gets all up in people's faces, like, and he has a short fuse on the field. But it's just such a crazy thing, like the difference between on-field bomber, off-field bomber.
Yeah, I mean, you should say on ice bomber because he's just a hockey kid from Terrace Bay or whatever. Like,
totally from Bowmanville,
Ontario. Ontario, there it is.
Yeah.
You can't take the Bowmanville out of the bomber, right?
Exactly. It's the nuclear power plant that seeps deep into that marrow.
Wow.
Oh man, Adrian, 5 pull collects on the day. Talk to me about your pull collecting game. I don't know.
It's something that fell to me when Sachin was our pull collector for a long time, and then Sachin became coach, and then it became my job. And to be honest, I hate it. Ooh, Thompson get foot blocked. Who is that? Who foot blocked him there?
Will. Live and die by the Will Vu. What a ledge.
Yeah. To be honest, I hate collecting the pull. It's just high risk, zero reward. Like almost nothing. Like
that's true. You never get big props for a pull catch.
Exactly. Sorry, I shouldn't say zero reward. Big reward, but like underrated reward. Like no, exactly as you said, no one's giving you props for the pull catch, but it actually makes a huge difference if you don't catch it.
Yes.
But it's so risky. It's like you have this catch that you have to make, and someone is deliberately throwing it, trying to make it difficult for you to catch it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I spent the first half of my O-line career collecting pulls, and it does feel like a lot of pressure, especially big like spicy ones, big bladey ones coming down in the wind, and you're just like backpedaling, and you're like, ugh.
Because exactly like, and you can't like, you don't want to let it go, and it rolls out the back, and I mean it's at least okay in USAU with USAU rules, where if it rolls at the back, you get to take it from the front of the end zone, which is not the worst. But in AUDL, for example, like it rolls out the back, you have to take it from the back of the end zone.
Yeah, that's insane.
Ridiculous. I guess the field's a little bit longer, so it's kind of harder.
That's why the league shut down this week. that's an outrageous rule.
They were like, "Come on, okay, we need to reassess. This is getting
reassess the rule.
It's unsafe."
And this is going to take us the better part of the next 6 months to reassess.
Yeah.
So just shut her down.
Oh man. Yeah, it's
This is it.
Knock on wood. Sorry, go ahead, Age.
I was saying, this is it, man. This is the exciting times. Like, I loved this game. I loved this moment in this game too, because it was just so exciting. I was like, man, we are in this game, and this is an actual game. This is not a blowout. We're not getting blown out. Like, we are fighting here, and it could literally go either way. Like, I was so pumped to be.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I was again probably in the porta potty at this point, but yeah. Oh, yeah. But I was so pumped. Pumped in theory. You know, I'm pumped watching it right now.
Yeah, man. And Cammer. I don't know what happened.
I remember this. I was like, if we get this, we're gonna get the dub for sure. But newsflash, spoiler alert.
Yeah, I can't remember what happens here, but I think we get this D here.
Yeah. Throw like a weird one. Phantom block by Carroll.
Man, honestly, a phantom block is just as like that is so difficult to catch. If somebody swipes at a disc right before you catch it, even if they don't touch it, it is so difficult to catch it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You just like expect them to hit it and they don't. It's as if they hit it anyways.
Sometimes we do this little exercise where you have someone stand. I'm sure you've played this before, Age, but it's like just before practice or just like waiting for people to bring it in, where you like zap flicks at each other from like 10-yard range, and you've got someone just like waving their hand like in front of it. So you're trying to make these like catches under pressure. So I don't know, maybe that helps. For all you kids out there listening, just make sure you start blasting with good social distancing and snapping flicks at huck power from 10 yards away and have someone waving their arms in the way. Super safe.
Okay, so I have a great story about guts. So at sectionals every year we used to go to at in Rochester. We used to have to go to sectionals there, and we would play guts after the Saturday because, obviously it's a lot of fun. But we would play, and it was like obviously like beer in one hand, disc in the other, and you gotta go on. You can only use one hand. So there's about 20 of us lined up, and we're all playing, and we're all laughing, whatever. Derek Alexander walks over, and he's like, "Oh, can I play?" And everyone's like, "Yeah, of course, Derek. Like, come on, get in here. Like, you get the throw. Like, you can throw right now." So hand him the disc, and he's like, "All right." And he winds up, and like Derek Alexander, probably not a lot of people, but Derek Alexander is like a really, really nice, like quiet, reserved dude. Winds up for this disc, comes out of nowhere, and it's just like full power, backhand zip to the other side. Out of absolute nowhere, a dog runs, like, I don't know where this dog came from, runs straight through this double row of people, and the disc absolutely nails the dog. Like, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like, and everyone is just like, oh, and it hits the dog, and the dog like turns in a new direction and just goes pelting off. And you see guy running over and is like, "That's my dog! That's my dog!"
Oh my God, Randy Johnson blowing up the bird.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get the full look at Brendo getting praised here.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves that.
Oh,
That was a nasty grab. I don't know how that was a grab, but
so funny story behind that celebration is like relatively organic, but sometimes the guys do it at practice. Like a bunch of the guys will just get down and they call him the Emperor. It's like, but yeah, potentially a little racially charged, I guess, but they like it's all in such love, and sometimes like Brenda will have just a nasty play at practice, and you'll see like 2 or 3 guys around him just like get down on their knees, and he like I don't actually think he likes it that much. That's why you can see like there's like a dozen guys wrapped around his feet, and he's like, "Get up!" He's like, "Go get away from me, peons."
Yeah, and they're like, "Okay, yes, of course, yeah,
yes, sir."
Where you say goes, man.
We are not.
Damn it.
The Emp. That's sick. Yeah, that was a nice catch. That was so clutch too. It's like
that was huge.
Yeah, that's a must grab. So hung it up to one of our best.
Yeah, or more importantly, didn't even hang it up, and he still came out with it, which was just crazy. I think it was like somehow he caught it at shoulder level with his hands over somebody's shoulder. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, in this game, like for no lack of ability, Mikey Mack like kind of took it a little bit. He just like took the brunt of getting dummied up on a couple of times, and that's just the way it goes. Especially when you're a fast, athletic defender, you're actually gonna get like in on most plays. And like I know from playing against Mike, and obviously he's on the 2020 national team. He's like a sick player.
So good.
Sick
Mike
athlete.
Is so sick.
It's just in this game, he like Ty got him twice, Brendo got him once. It's just that's the way it goes sometimes, especially when you're right in on every single contested play.
Well, and also, I mean, you're covering the guys, like
the best guys, yeah.
Mike, we're like, yo, you're gonna go cover Brendo, man, like obviously, and when you're covering Brendo, you're gonna get roofed a couple times.
What, yo, that was the sickest catch in the game, by the way.
From Thompson there?
Like you got a block.
That's what I mean. He smacked it.
That was an unbelievable catch. Like the Nathan Kolakovic highlight reel has a sick slow-mo of that, and it's like Hugh gets the block and Thompson just like pins it against his legs as he's sliding. Unbelievable.
Crazy. Thompson has some crazy hands because he's a baseball guy, right? So he's got like that instinct. I don't know. His hands are super quick and super good. Yeah, he's just one of those players that is just another guy sort of like Brendo, where he just seems to somehow like kind of get better as he's getting older. Like he's older than me. He's born in '87, and he's getting in the last 4 years. I would say he's gotten faster every year. I would say he's like his throws, his game sense is getting better every year. Man, he's so good.
Yeah, Thompson's sick. I've always like kind of being on this side of the country. I was always like, all right, like Thompson's a guy who's like not the swiftest as on his feet. He's like good handler, made his money throwing the disc. I was like, I can do that. You know, he's only a couple years older than me, but I was like,
you guys are very similar players, I'd say.
For someone who was also like never the fastest and like quickly became like an O-line player, I was like, it's doable. Also, he's been doing it for a long time, so I was like, I can do it for a long time too. Why not, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Oh man, it's about to get spicy, Adrian.
Yeah.
12-12. Here we go.
That it is.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like people always say like, people are always like, never in doubt, man. Like, it's like, even if you're, especially Big Cat, like for all the love that we can give him, like he's the type of guy who's like, I knew it, man. Fucking knew it. I knew you were definitely gonna win.
Is that his voice
like,
too?
Yeah, that's my bad. That's a medium Andy impression, but pretty close. And it's like,
it's fair.
Was it ever in doubt? Like, it's about to be 14-12. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Like, yeah, like we still believe that we could come back, but come on, like, never in doubt. Oh, Timmy All-Star with the drop. Come on, my guy.
Yeah, that was a rough one. But yeah, I know. AC is brutal for that. I remember, at the because I think that first year that we met, or that I was in it anyways, when we met in the final, 2011, he threw two like absolutely ridiculous throws.
Yeah, prayers.
And ridiculous as not like wow, ridiculous. Like, are you kidding me? Ridiculous. And both of them were caught for a point. And I was like, dude, like what a stupid throw. And he was like, I mean, score.
Yeah. Perfect. What do you want me to say about it? I mean, then he did, yeah. That's vintage Andy. He made his friggin' mark doing that a couple years in a row. And then like I remember that year, and then the next year we played CUC in Victoria, and we were playing against like Lloyd on that strike team, and they had a huge lead, and I was like, oh my god, like we're gonna lose this game.
Oh, that game.
Andy wasn't even on the field, and he came out in his board shorts with like an hour left in the game, and he was like, never in doubt. like, well, I guess. I mean, he does have a good track record of saying that and then being right, but
and it being true. So there you go.
So funny.
Oh man, let's just fast forward for 90 seconds here. I'm just gonna throw a big cupcake into the middle of the field for 6 people to scavenge over.
Holy. Icy is like totally.
Man, I almost caught that.
Icy was like, Tolly, you fouled me. And Tolly is like, Icy, man, I'm a man. And I manhandled you. I'm sorry, but
I got a big booty.
Got this big trunk here. You can't get around me, my man.
Yeah. And Malcolm took that back pretty quick. I think it was just like a 7-person pile up. It was like, oh.
Ooh, Tolly.
Dude, when this happened, oh my god. I'll tell you right now, I'll tell you on a personal level, I was like, I just lost this like the tournament, and I'm out here. I was so mad at myself. I remember that moment. I was like, I just threw a friggin' bunny into the middle of the field, and then they snapped a Huck goal. I was like, and now we're down 2. I was like, I probably that's shit feeling right there.
I can relate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's easier for me to talk about it right now. I'm like, oh man, I was so down in the dumpster right there. But
he was like, I actually know how it feels. Dude. Come on.
Yeah. No spoilers. Oh man. 14-12. It's crazy watching this back. I probably watched this game back once, or maybe like one and change, and still staggering. Still staggering.
I know. See,
Yeah.
I watched this game once afterwards, but I haven't watched it since. I haven't watched this game in like probably, I don't know. I watched it once, like maybe a week after this, and then I haven't watched it since.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy the ebb and flow of these games. Like, that's what's so cool about Goat Furious is like, as I said, I feel like every game is like this. 2011 was like this. We went up, you guys tied it up. We went up, you guys tied it up. You went up, then we tied it up, and then we went up, and then you guys won. And I think it was actually like pretty much the opposite in 2015, where like we went up, and then you guys went up and took half, and then like we sort of traded out for a bit, and then we like just squeaked it out at the end. And the same thing. And then this game was like no different. I feel like this is just going to be the perpetual cycle.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder, like, Adrian will like, I mean, I don't know what Ultimate Canada's got planned for 4 years from now for next World Cycle. I mean, and everything kind of changes a little bit, but there is probably, in my opinion, the inevitable ending of the like winner of CUC decides national team feeling. And I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's been like a big treat to be involved in those games because you know when it does, there's going to be a little of the shine that gets taken off these big important games. Cause it's like, not only is this like for pride for Canadian champs, but we all know the existing history and what this game really means. It means like your team that won gets control over the national team portfolio, which is pretty important for a lot of people. And that's why there's extra nugget during this game that ratchets it up to 11.
Totally, because I mean, and probably this year was a little bit different in the way that they did it already. But in essence, I mean, in 2012, 2016, it's the same thing. Like the top players on either team are gonna play because we just won. But it's like a huge deal to like the bubble guys, the rookies, the guys who are really role players. Like those are the guys who aren't the household names, in the Ultimate community, who aren't going to, get picked up in the same way that the top guys are. And they're the ones who it's the huge deal for.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, if your program has the sort of control over the national team program, you're right. There is that general feeling. I know this year, actually, we had a talk before the season even began about like deciding what we want to do about CUC. There's Brendo being Brendo again, which is pretty nice.
Ooh. Another elevator.
Yeah, that's a crazy elevator.
Love it.
But we had a chat saying that like if we were to win CUC this year, we were going to try our best to treat it as like a pure national team and not give favoritism. But at any way you cut it, like no matter what, there's like, especially if you appoint your head coach as the head coach, and Matt Beresin was like a great applicant, obviously. And I don't know, like if it was. Of course, it was going to be different if Goat had won, but like it's hard to know how much different because it felt like the national team. And I was on the selection committee this year, and I can tell you it was like it felt pretty true. And I hope it sets a good precedent for down the line that like we, the champions of the CUC, if it remains the same, that they like take that responsibility and like try to make it as true as possible. Because I think the precedent we set this year is pretty good. I'm not trying to just pat myself on the back, but.
No, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. That's what I was saying. That I feel like it was actually quite different this year already, in that it was more of a true national team. It's hard because I wish that there was more parity across Canada. And I think honestly, like I like that we pull guys from Ottawa. I like that we pull guys from around, and you guys pull guys from Alberta. And everything. I think that's cool. And I like being able to play with guys who aren't from my city and who I don't necessarily know already and meeting new people. But I also find that it kind of hampers like development of other teams. Not being able to be in systems. Okay, here we go. Wait a second.
Adrian's like, don't talk during this point here.
Oh, wait, no, it wasn't that one. I think it's his next. Yeah.
I mean, you know what? It's kind of like a Band-Aid because it just happens really quickly, and it's not like we get the super slow motion that's in the end Kulikova. Dude, Cam's open. Like that's a goal too. I know
that was the thing, and you know what? Like I was so rattled, but you saw it there. I was like, yo, fucking sick block, bro.
Yeah,
like,
dude, that was awesome that you did that. I thought that was like, it's a pretty classy, and that's kind of like a microcosm of the whole thing is like it's such a hard battle. You really want it. It's so competitive, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's a nice play, dude. And there's like that kind of love between the programs, which is cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, PD was like just on another level this year. Like he, not only did he like yoke up his upper body and become like a friggin' bodybuilder, he also just like played out of his mind this year. Like he was probably our sickest. I mean, he was our sickest handler defender, and he was just like such a commander of our troops on the D line O, and like he's a sick player.
Yeah, super good player, man. Yeah. This is what, and you know what? This was such a good like end zone point from you guys too. Like,
Yeah.
Calm, chilly thing, like, and
a lot of space.
Yeah, exactly.
That's always hard as a handler defender in end zone when like the handler duo that's out from the stack has like tons of space and there's a lot of discipline. It just makes it so hard. And exactly. It's like if you play too tight on this side, you're just gonna get scooped to this side, and if you give too much buffer, then you're open to the give and go. But yeah, I mean, we can show. Sorry, go ahead, Adrian.
No, I was gonna say it's just like you're just hoping for a throwing error at that point, because like the cutting, when there's that much space, you can't possibly stop everything. You just have to give them something and hope the thrower misses.
Yeah, or like that we like work it really tight to the end zone that everything gets like clogged up a little bit. That's like you saw that throw was like the dagger was actually like an over the top to the far side, and there's just so much space and makes it so hard. And then a shout out to Braden, who like has already broken one disc in this game with his spike. There's early on, there's one where he spikes it. Cam Harris picks the disc up and he's like, this is broken, man. And I mean, we can shout Braden out in about 90 seconds when he. But
I'm gonna say I love spiking. I never spike the disc personally. If I ever spike the disc, it's a flat spike. But I love when people spike the disc.
Nice.
It annoys me when people get pissed off when people spike the disc. If you're spiking it at somebody, yeah, that's disrespectful maybe. But if someone just friggin' slams the disc down on the ground because they're stoked about scoring, yes, slam it down, man. I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Universe point. Wow. It's crazy. It'd be fun to relive the 2011 one too. And 2015.
Is it on video somewhere?
I guess we can take the 2015 one, Adrian, because
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, we should do them both.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be a fun one to look at too.
Wow, dude, this is a legit non-call, eh? Like, I think I've talked to Lloyd briefly about it after, and then maybe just in passing since. But like, Morgan goes up early and kind of draws Lloyd up, and then it pops, and like there is a little contact. But I mean,
there was no way he was gonna get there.
Yeah.
And also, you see where that disc ended up, right at the front of the end zone. I can't stress this enough.
Yeah.
People, zip it to the back. I know that's not.
Dude, I remember like in this moment, I was like on the sideline. I was like, I know I don't have any effect here, but I was like, if we turn it over, they're gonna win. So we can't. Like, you know, I could. This didn't smell like a big multi-turn point, you know, that was gonna go on forever. It was like, we gotta get this now. We just have to. There's that desperate urgency.
I know, man. I know, and I'm just watching this, and I'm just like, oh my god, Peter. You did me dirty.
On the sidelines, Adrian. You're just standing there, frozen.
Jesus.
Oh god. Yeah, you look like a statue there. That's hilarious.
It's like frozen. Sorry, I can't deal with this.
Oh man, putting. Wow, what a crab. That was sick.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a crazy feeling.
Looked like Nate got a piece of that one too.
Dude, it was like Izzy. Oh, the flip.
Like no, right before Dre caught it, it looked like it like popped a little bit off Nate's hand, and then Dre snagged
Maybe
it right
you're
after.
Isaiah. Like Isaiah actually kind of clotheslined Dre a little bit there. It's like the slow mo is pretty sweet. Dre like takes Isaiah's like arm in the throat right when he's making the grab.
And that's all she wrote.
The boys are buzzing there.
The boys are buzzing.
Yeah.
All right, final remarks from you two. We do really appreciate you helped make this the most watched stream we've had, so we do appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. Big shout
That's what
out.
happens when you get a couple of Ultimate Legends.
Yeah,
Theo.
exactly. Ultimate legends in the house.
Yeah.
And then tell Adrian
Your
Yearwood.
words,
Say your
your words.
thanks in the chat. Thanks to Cone for running all the back end stuff. Tuck and VUL for promoting it as well. Do appreciate it. So, any final remarks from you guys? Maybe, any final words here?
It was funny. We probably talked about the game for a grand total of 9 minutes, but hopefully that still met your requirements.
No, you're good. Some stories were told. Stories were told. That was good.
Stories
So
were
we
told.
do
Some tea was spilled. Some shame was thrown.
Some shout outs for Kevin.
Yeah.
We do appreciate it. Tune in next week. We're going to be at our regular time of 7 o'clock, and we're going to have Toro girls coaches Vicky Shimoda and Crystal Dos Santos on to watch the final Toro and Mofo from 2019 CUC. Did you commentate that game, Kevin?
Was it which year? Which year did you say?
Last year's junior final.
No. I'm trying to remember who, but I wasn't on the mic for that one. No.
Oh, okay. Too bad. So anyways, tune in for that. Tell all your friends, and we do appreciate it. And we're going to sign off. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, Alex, for doing the producing.
Yeah. Phone running back in.
A thankless job out there with no video, but good job, buddy.
Seriously.